This will be a review of my idea of modifying the standard Falcon tube. I accomplished the tactile feedback idea of letting the customer know when the tube is properly locked in place through a locking live hinge that rides over a detent. I accomplished this by modifying the standard Falcon tube by adding a locking ring. It has these 4 locking prongs, and this will still be molded in the same fashion that the current product is molded in the same fashion. So if you take a look at the Falcon tube, there are these vertical lines on opposite ends, so that the intricate details of this mold, it's accomplished by having 2 mold pieces slide sideways towards each other, meeting in the middle. And that parting line you could actually feel when observing the Falcon tube. So these prongs will be molded in the same way. There's nothing different about how it will be molded. So that's good when you can work off of the same work that was previously figured out, and that will help to control costs in the molding if it's done in the same fashion as before. So now moving on to the cap portion, it has the double threads, and the way that this locks in place is it has this circular wedge where this outer face on that inner wedge locks up against the top portion of the inner lining of the Falcon tube. So when it's this face outlined in yellow will lock up against the top of this inner lining. So that's the whole point of this tactile feedback. So the locking mechanism has to provide that tactile feedback only when it is properly secured. So the user will thread normally. As you can see, the locking prong portion, it clears the threads as it's threading through, and it only engages this locking ring at the very end. So let me make this the hill of the prong as it makes its way to the top of the peak. And it will provide some resistance to the user as he's turned. Then, as it clears the peak of it will come back down and it will feel like a snap. So now the hockey stick looking hinge, the reason why it's at an angle is once the user wants to open the cap, or in essence work in reverse, there's some resistance but not too much. It's at an angle, so when it pushes up, the force will go through the shaft of the hockey stick right up the prong hill, and there will be some resistance, but then it will clear, and then it will clear the locking ring, and by then it will already be moving upwards and threading outwards, and that's it. And that's pretty much my idea of how it will work.